I mean, the number one thing people say is like, "Oh my God, look at the graphics. How is this a Web3 game?" It is, my personal opinion. Again, it is the best looking Web3 game out there. It looks phenomenal.
Welcome to the Edge of NFT, the podcast that brings you the top 1% of Web3 today and what will stand the test of time. We explore the nuts and bolts of the business side and also the human element of how Web3 is changing the way we interact with the things we love. This podcast is for the dreamers, disruptors, and doers who are pumped about this ecosystem and driving where it goes next.
Hi everyone, this is Josh Krieger, co-host of Edge of NFT, live again at the Future Blockchain Summit in Dubai. I'm hanging out with some really cool folks, including the one and only Chris Bowden from Blowfish Studios. He's the global marketing director, and they're up to some cool stuff we're going to talk about a little bit. Great to have you on the show, Chris.
Thanks for having me, Josh.
Yeah, so auspiciously located on your shirt for our audio only listeners is your newest project, Phantom Galaxies, which I think is sort of what brings you here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So Phantom Galaxies is an online multiplayer shooter, like an action ARPG based in the Mecha genre. So if you've ever been into Transformers or Macross or anything to do with mechs, it's very much that kind of vibe, right? You're in space, flying around. You could transform from like a mech form into like a spaceship. So that kind of sci-fi kind of vibe is what we offer with Phantom Galaxies.
Cool. Yeah, I played a little bit, and it's a lot of fun. So let's just sort of rewind a little bit, and then we'll kind of go into it in more detail. What is Blowfish Studios like? What are you guys all about? What's some of your sort of history?
Yeah, Blowfish Studios is really cool. So as a studio, we've been around for 12 years, originally making AAA Web2 games. And then a few years ago, Animoca brands acquired us and asked us to start developing Web3 games. And so the really cool thing that kind of makes Blowfish unique is we've retained all that amazing Web2 talent who are making these fantastic Web2 games. And we're now making a AAA quality Web3 product in Phantom Galaxies. Which is, in my opinion, the best looking and best feeling and highest quality Web3 game in the space.
Absolutely. So, I think that says a lot about the pedigree of the studio that Animoca decided to acquire you all. They have a lot of opportunities in the space to collaborate with different folks. And, I found it really interesting. One of our earliest shows was with Yat Su, the chairman of Animoca brands. And not a lot of people know the gritty history of what Animoca has done in the gaming industry. At one point, they had some of the top mobile games in the world on the Apple Store, and then they were just taken off the store completely. Did you know that?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
Because their beginning started in Australia as well, so we've obviously got a bit of history.
Cool. So they were taken off, and that was because they were so effective at cross-marketing their games, and Apple couldn't figure out why this company from Hong Kong had all the top games in the space, and they were doing a lot of cross-pollination. So you're in a good family now, and you guys have sort of come out with this game. Why Web3 for this particular game? What's sort of fitting from a use case perspective?
I think there's a need in the space for AAA games as a whole, right? So looking at it from that lens, do we have the quality to bring Web3 gaming to the mainstream? And then beyond that, you look at, okay, what genres are people wanting content, or where is there perhaps a gap?
Yeah.
And the mecha genre isn't the most popular genre in the West in terms of available products. I think it's popular in terms of everyone has a love for the mecha genre. It's got a bit of
So for those of you at home, just kind of think Transformers.
Think Transformers,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, mecha is like the Japanese word for mech, I suppose. So, Japan, there's a lot of IP focused on mecha, not so much in the West. So we identified that.
That was one of my favorite shows, by the way, Transformers.
Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, that was back in the day. I'm dating myself, but yeah. I mean, I think I owned a bunch of them, and I was always part of that world.
Fantastic. Well, you'll love Phantom Galaxies then.
It was fun. It was fun playing it. So you're sorry for the intrusion. You were talking a little bit about sort of that's a unique sort of genre.
Yes.
Something that you could really sort of use some of the Web3 attributes with, because with your mech you can do so many different things.
Yeah, so in terms of the Web3 elements, where kind of strictly we don't want to be pay to win in any way. So the NFTs that you can purchase in Phantom Galaxies are cosmetic only, but still really, really cool, right? So we'll have a suite of cosmetics that can make your mech look shiny or whatever color you might like. That's kind of our focus with the Web3 integration. We also have the Astropher token as well, which has in-game use cases as well as outside of game.
So you guys are sort of thinking about this stuff day and night, eating and breathing, living sort of how to integrate Web3 in a thoughtful way. Some of those considerations are around personal identity, and sort of the play and earn mechanics and ownership and whatnot. What have you found sort of is working effectively, and what are things that don't work, like where you're not as focused?
It's a really good question. I think ownership, as you mentioned, is where you have to start, right? Because if I look, like I'm a gamer myself, a Web2 gamer originally, and what appealed to me initially about Web3 games was the ownership aspects, right? In so many games I will transact, I'll spend a lot of money and I've got nothing to show for it. And so when I found out that I could actually own those assets, that was really appealing to me. I think there are a lot of other amazing benefits that Web3 offers that are probably a bit further down the track. So, interoperability is one that gets spoken about quite a lot, but probably doesn't exist in as many games as you would like, or as is spoken about. So that probably comes a bit later because there's obviously a lot more technical considerations. So yeah, for us at the moment and for myself, it's ownership is the message that I feel is the strongest that's going to bring us to mainstream adoption.
That makes sense. And sort of where are we in the life cycle of Phantom Galaxies? You released your beta a little while back, and I guess you by the time folks listen to this, there'll be some new sort of milestone achieved, right?
Yes. So on November 2nd, we launch into early access, and Phantom Galaxies will be available on Steam and Epic Games Store. It's pretty big news. So the version of the game on Steam will actually be free to play, which is huge. There aren't many Web3 aligned games on Steam, so that's massive for us. And on Epic Games Store.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you so much. So for those listening, you can already go and wishlist the game on Steam and Epic Games Store, so you get your notifications when we're live. But yeah, it's going to be a huge moment for us.
Cool. And you guys decided to come out to Future Blockchain Summit. Thanks to them for bringing us together. Obviously, the gaming economy, everyone plays games globally, right? Where does sort of this region fit into your overall sort of, focus from a marketing perspective, and what are some of the other regions that you think about?
Yeah, I love this question. So yeah, the Middle East is very close to my heart, right? In my career, I've been from Australia, but focused on the Middle East. Just by chance, it's worked out that way. And
cool. So it's like coming back to your second home.
Exactly. And so this is actually the first time we've been able to bring Phantom Galaxies to the region, which is really exciting. And so, I'm personally kind of leading the charge internally to continue expanding us in the Middle East. And look, I think the Middle East is, when it comes to innovation and new technologies, it's always at the forefront, right? And that's what I love about this region. People always want the latest, most innovative, best technology. People don't need to wait to feel comfortable with things. They're just going to jump in. And so I see the Middle East as a key market for Web3 gaming.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the time zones where they're sort of intersecting with both Asia and the US, but everyone here is ready to do things, right? To create, not just talk. Like, there's a lot of building going on here and a lot of high quality sort of business deals that are getting done, not at the superficial level. What's been some of the sort of feedback you've gotten on the game so far at the booth?
It's been phenomenal. I mean, the number one thing people say is like, oh my God, look at the graphics. How is this a Web3 game? It is, my personal opinion, again, it is the best looking Web3 game out there. It looks phenomenal. And
no bias
at all. But, we get that genuine reaction from people when they walk past. We've got a foundation here that we can really build off of. I mean, we're going to early access, but we've got a long-term roadmap to an eventual full launch, and then just constant building. And like we've really got an amazing product in our hands.
I'm excited. We're definitely going to have to, talk again and check in, as you guys keep building and doing cool things. Hopefully we can bring Phantom Galaxies to LA at some point in the future. I think that would be a cool audience that would really enjoy seeing this game IRL. I guess you mentioned the website. Where can folks sort of stay in touch with you and sort of follow along what you guys are doing at Blowfish Studios?
Yeah, so phantomgalaxies.com is our website, and we're all across social media if you search for Phantom Galaxies. Again, I think right now, first and foremost, wishlist the game on Steam and Epic Games Store.
Check it out.
The pages are already live, so you can go ahead and wishlist and be ready for that launch into early access on November 2nd.
All right, gear up all you Transformers fans, and I know you probably want to actually see the game, so we're going to have some fun here and go through one of the many halls of this big conference and get to see folks playing the game, and who knows, maybe we'll oust them or find a seat so we can play as well. How's that?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
The views and opinions expressed on Edge of NFT reflect solely those views and opinions of the show hosts and its guests. Please make sure to do your own research. Our show is not financial advice. You understand that you are using any and all information available on or through this podcast at your own risk. Whenever making financial decisions, we recommend doing your own research and talking to your accountant for financial advice. From time to time, we may feature sponsored content on the show for which we receive value, and we may share links for which we receive a commission if you make a purchase through one of those links. Refer to our website, www.edgeofnft.com, for our full disclaimer, terms and conditions, and privacy policy.